How's it going, friends? Zig coming in at the top of the interview. Today I have Ray Flanagan on, and he is playing virtual CLE March 20th, 8 p.m. with Walkin, Kane, and Maddie Finn. You guys can tune in, get an email, send a password, make a donation, help those guys out. They're going to need it. Our friend Michelle Gall, who we had on yesterday when this is recorded, will be on Channel 3, I believe at 11 tonight, talking about virtual CLE shows. This is pretty awesome. Things are picking up with it. Make sure you guys check it out. It is really a really cool, positive beacon of hope during all this madness. This interview was really cool. I was initially trying to do 20 minutes with everyone who was playing on this March 20th show. But so far the only person who got back to me was Ray, and it was a really good one-on-one, like musician to player. I don't want to say it like that, but musician to the musician type of conversation, and it really halfway through I realized I didn't feel as isolated as I have had in a bit. So this was a really cool conversation, and really thankful for Ray to donate some of his time to talk with me about this. Point out this is another over the phone interview, so the audio quality on Ray's end sometimes gets peaky, but you can hear everything he's saying, and he's got a lot of good things to say. So without further ado, Ray Flanagan on the Zig at the Gid podcast. Cool beans. Well, hey man, I appreciate you doing this. Hopefully it helps a little bit with your guys' show.
Yeah, man, I'm super stoked. Your guys' went well. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, that was really cool. It was weird because, like, it was all... We're going to jump right into it. It's the Zig at the Gig podcast. I'm hanging out with Ray Flanagan. We're here to talk about his show on the internet, taking over the interwebs. The virtual CLE shows happening Friday night at 8 o'clock with Austin Walkin, Kane, and Maddie Finn. Plugged at the top. We're good to go. But yeah, it was really weird, man, because, like, when Gall hit me up for it, one, I was, like, honored that she would think about me and all this madness, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, when we were doing it, as soon as it started, it was like I was getting, like, freaked out. I'm like, oh, man, this is weird. Like, we're doing a sound check. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in my basement doing a sound check, and, like, Mikey and Liz are here, and, like, it ended up being a really cool, rewarding, like, fulfilling thing. Like, I was in my basement by myself, but all my, like, friends were there too. It was really cool. Like,
it was totally cool. Like, I tuned in for your guys. I saw most of it.
Nice. I saw you at the end there. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was tuned into the Bernie. You guys were competing with Bernie Sanders at the same time. So
yeah,
and he had on, so I had to watch that. But then I think I saw 3 songs from each of you guys. So I probably missed the first round or something.
Yeah, that was it was because it was like it was 4 each.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. Like, yeah, well, I didn't expect too many people to come out on a Monday night, but
people hanging out in there, like, that was pretty awesome, I thought.
That was so cool. Like, the rest of the night I was just pacing back and forth, like, how can I help Gall? This is such a cool thing.
It's amazing what she's doing. Yeah, when she hit me up, I was like, whoa. Like, she had some amount of foresight, because when she hit me up, I was kind of like, because she asked me immediately, like, if I wanted to do it. And I was like, I might wait on it, because I'm like, it hasn't really sunk in for me quite yet. I'm like, well, I was kind of like, I'll see where I'm at in like 2 or 3 months. But, like, I was like, get some other people on that have already lost more stuff.
Yeah.
But, now I've lost, like, I have nothing now. unless magically it comes back. But yeah, and I worry about places like, venues and businesses that are going to have trouble staying open, because, they're trying to, like, I'm fending for myself, but they're trying to, like, they got probably like 20 people that they're trying to float,
For. It's hard to get like a group of 3 guys to go play a show and split a $50. You know what I mean? $50.
Totally. This is definitely like gonna be I don't know, if there's ever a time for us to, like, walk the walk in terms of like talking about how strong our community is. I feel like this is the time for everybody to kind of like, if everybody helps everybody, we might be able to make it through it all right without anybody getting too bruised up too bad.
Yeah, I agree. The do it together instead of DIY, DIT. It's going to have to be that way for sure. Was it, yeah, well, Gal was telling me that last night when I did an interview with her, and she was saying she hit you up right away, and I was like, damn, Ray's a hero. He's already saying help everyone else that needs more help.
Well, I was just, I hate asking for help. I don't ever, like, I never ask for help for anything. Like, I hate it. And, like, so that's, like, my own insecurity probably more than it is a heroic thing. But
I feel it, man. What was it that struck you besides, was it like a moment, like a certain gig that canceled that you're like, now it's real? You know what I mean?
Well, just most of my gigs are in, bars and restaurants and local markets. And then, like, I know you do old folks home gigs, and I've done a few of those. And then I have some monthly ones that I do for these special needs people, and you're not allowed to go be in contact with any of them now. So I've lost, like, tentatively, I've lost all my gigs, which is like funny at the moment,
Yeah.
I always put together like, all right, well, let's fuck it. And I've like had some people that have been real nice and like bought my record a couple of times on Bandcamp, and
that's cool.
It's all right. It's like, it's weird because it's like they're doing it out of sympathy. I wish they're buying it because of, but anyways, and which is maybe only half true. But I had some leftover T-shirts that I'm trying to get, like shit like that. But like, that's not making up for gigs. So I'm trying to be creative here and see what ways I can think of to stay afloat. I mean, I could always like just go back to working in a warehouse or something if I need to.
Even if those are open, man.
I don't even know. Well, my brother works in one, and he said it's like crazy there. Yeah. Well, because like he's in shipping and receiving, and he's just saying like the pallets of toilet paper that they're sending.
Oh shit!
Because it's like I can't remember what it's all like general hardware supplies and stuff like that. But it's like he's saying like they're busier at work than they have ever been with this. So certain people are actually like working more. Definitely, now. But it's hurting. The people it's hurting are like independent,
for sure,
entrepreneurial types. Those are the people that are really getting hurt. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really know what to do. But I feel like these online shows are going to go. I mean, definitely, everybody's already doing them. But I feel like Michelle's whole idea and her the way that she's attacking it from a community oriented thing and an organized like avenue that she's taking with it, I feel like it's it kind of stands apart from like if I were to just go on a live stream and be like, hey everybody, I'm playing, here's my PayPal, like the organizing and it being like kind of like having everybody go around and having different people do it, and like I think it will build itself as a pretty valuable resource here in the coming months.
For sure. And the whole thing, you're saying, it's community based, and she's not just picking people who play, or whose main or maybe part-time gigs playing, but it's people who are in really people who affected by it.
Not like I'm not willing to go if I, like, okay, all of a sudden I can't play music in bars and restaurants for a living. That's fine with me. Yeah. Like, because I want to work. It's what I want to do. I want to play, but it's definitely like I'm definitely like privileged and don't take for granted the fact that I'm able to do this here in Cleveland. So like, it's just a matter of like immediately, this is how I've been depending on my income. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough time for everybody. I'm thinking about everybody from the bartenders and servers, small business owners, and especially our venues. I really worry about the places that are not going to be able to open their doors without some kind of community help. Definitely. But I also think that I don't think anybody should feel bad for needing to pay rent and eat or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, was it like? So my main like work is I teach. I teach at a charter school, and then I do the nursing homes, and then I do the bar gigs, and all of that is shut down.
Yeah.
But I eat. Hopefully that didn't pick up. It's buzzing. So even just like where I'm looking at, I'm like, crap. I've been sending some online lessons and stuff like that, trying to get ahead of the curve and seeing what Gall was doing. I'm like, that's great. And like the fact that it's how you're saying organized and community based, and it's not just like how you're saying going on live stream and being like, what's your request? And just trying to get that almost attention that,
right.
You know what I mean, it's not like
I don't care what people want to hear either. So I think a couple people doing that, and like I'm all like, that's fine and everything, but I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you want to hear that song. That song.
That's one thing I've always admired about when you do your solo sets. You do this this whole bringing in the like the why can't I think of the bar? The Brent Kirby listen kind of philosophy.
10x3?
Yeah, the 10x3 philosophy. Like I remember seeing you talk a little bit at Winchester or something, and I can't remember what you said, but it was basically like listen, and I've always admired how you try to bring that environment into other places. Even when we last time I hosted you at Negative Space, like you waited for everyone to listen in and then you took off, which I think is really cool.
I think that you can kind of create that environment as a performer. Like sometimes, usually, like if it gets to the point where if I'm telling somebody to shut up or calling somebody out, mostly like to be funny, you know, it's mostly like to humor, like in a situation. Like I never like really yell at somebody like to like make them feel bad about themselves, which
for sure.
I have fun, but like if you don't, if you're not in on the joke, like then you're part of the problem. So I don't really feel bad about it, but I feel like you know, you could create that space, and for the most part, like I actually like to be pretty hands off about it, because I believe that if like the artist has something to say and you're creating, and the audience, and first of all, like it has to be a place where the audience is open to listening.
Yeah.
Because I never go into like a restaurant or a bar and like expect anybody to listen, because in my like then you're in their territory. Or even like when I run open mic at the Winchester, like I don't ever hardly tell anybody to be quiet unless they're being disruptive, because it's like I kind of just like to let everything unfold the way that it's going to unfold, you know.
For sure, and that you can't.
But I do think that there's an element. The element that I try to nip in the bud is just that I think with having everybody with our phones and everything now, that everybody's just a little bit more self-contained, like with their phone. Like they think everything's like that, nobody can see what they're doing, or they're not as aware of how they're affecting people next to them. So I do try to kind of nip that in the bud, and like if there's a performance going on and everybody's there and there's like just a couple people that might be like making it lessening the quality for everybody else, I do try and get those people to engage.
No, that's awesome, because it makes the whole environment, because there are some people that are just like on their phone, like doing selfies and like being in the way of things. And if it's like an open mic night environment and everyone's really into it and they're like dragging from it, or if they're like sending bits and kind of making fun of people, which I don't know if you've had that happen, but hopefully not, that can be discouraging and disrupting. So
yeah.
And as as the Mike Night host, you're kind of like, I'm giving everyone a platform to do whatever they want, but I also got to make it so I don't get uninvited to do this again. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a tricky spot. I was doing one a Mike Night at the Coffee Bean, and there was this guy reading poetry, but he was actively trying to like engage people like in a negative way. Like he was saying fighting words. You know what I mean?
I've only had a couple people. I had a couple, like, I can actually only think of, because for the most part, like, and I tell the bar too, like, and I only run open mic at the Winchester, and everybody, they're like the coolest people ever, and the owners and everything. But like, they, you know, I'm always saying like, listen, like, like you want open mic night. A lot of places like just think we'll have open mic night to get more business in, and it's really like a lot of people that are artists that come, like there are a lot of them, like some of them actually surprisingly like don't drink, so they're not spending money away. But like also like you're not gonna get, it does matter who the host is because they will attract their friends and stuff. But like it's for everybody. So I always say 15 minutes. If what's going on is absolutely like horrid or like it's a little bit making people uncomfortable, like that's the price you pay for open mic. It's like anybody can come and do whatever. The only time we had one guy who got up there and was like, he was saying some racial stuff and like, but he's basically what happened was he said the N-word like 3 times, and that's actually not allowed to come to the Winchester anymore. Because it was like he said it and then like we warned him and then he just kept like he said it and then we were like, all right, like this is not that is the line, I guess. Yeah. When it turned into like somebody actually like doing something that's hateful, discriminatory. But for the most part, you can pretty much say or do whatever you want, short of setting the place on fire.
For sure. Was it I'm gonna guess it was a comedian?
Absolutely.
Oh, he's trying to push the limit.
Comedian is such a hard time because so many of them. Like I was like, you wouldn't be the funniest person in my group of friends, let alone a professional comedian. Like, I hate it when people. This is a personal gripe of mine. Yeah. Like I don't mind like if some people are really good at like confessional type comedy or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really just like. I'm kind of like I am a little bit of a purist just in terms of I don't care like what the style of it is or what the subject matter is, but like write a joke. It has to have a setup and a punchline. It has to have some kind of form.
Yeah.
Whether it seems like more conversational or whatever, but some people just go up there and like say abortion.
You're right. There's got to be a direction to it. You got to have effort. You can't be just winging it.
It's not even fun. It's like might be funny if we were all like half hammered hanging around a fire or something. But on stage, it don't translate so well.
Definitely, especially when you're like, oh crap, that was 2 minutes in or a minute. He's got 15 more to go.
5 minutes of comedy could feel like an hour sometimes.
For sure. It's a tough gig though, for sure.
It's definitely tough. I don't think I could do it, but it's like, yeah, I'm just saying, and there are a lot of great comics around Cleveland and stuff. I would say definitely. Like people that come to open mic that they don't really have gigs and stuff. They're just like trying it out, which is fine. But it's just like some of them will just like try and be offensive and think that work, and it doesn't. And it rarely does.
And if it does, you're not in the right place. That's not the place you want to have mic night.
True. Yeah.
What was it? Well, that's cool, man. So with the bar gigs type of stuff, you're just doing like the typical bar gig, playing covers, doing originals, filling the void.
Yeah, it's like a mix of whatever, It's like the bar gigs are kind of like I kind of look at it like you're part of the background a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's an art to doing that where you're not where you're like adding to the environment instead of people are either paying attention to you or they're not. Like I kind of look at it like how people say this and it's true, like you don't notice the background music of a place unless it's completely wrong.
Definitely.
Like if you're at a restaurant, you're like, what the f is this music? But if it's right, if it's the right mood, then you just don't notice it. It's just like it's kind of like sets your mood subconsciously.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I treat those gigs. I don't like to because that's my route that I take because I'm not so much of like a sing along or like play everything that everybody wants to hear kind of a musician. So I try to like become part of the wall, but in a way like it's adding to what's going on, and like I like maybe making people's like moods and conversations a little bit more lively. It's like how you ever see those trailers that they make on YouTube of like, there's one for that movie School of Rock where they turn it into a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's like the music that's happening really, really makes a difference.
Definitely. And like, I've been doing a lot of bar gigs and like, I don't know what you do, but usually they're like 3 to 4 hours, right?
Mm-hmm. And about 3, yeah. Sometimes I try to stay away from that unless I'm getting really. But
yeah, that's a good. It should be a good paying one. but like I'll just do the whole thing like through. I won't stop because of like as soon as you do, there's that gap and like
Awkward silence.
yeah, there's like this weird like you're
Do you
saying.
stop in songs? Or do you mean like you just don't take a break? Is what you mean?
Yeah, and sometimes I don't stop. Like I'll end a song and go right into like a loop or something, and then figure out
Sure.
what song I'm gonna do next, and like the segue, like never stop that. Never, like you're saying, never give that silence that allude to like, oh, it's something's happening, something's changing in the environment.
And then that's when you get like people that like with the awkward claps with all the like they just start clapping because they feel awkward. Like
yeah,
that's funny that you say that because I sometimes I do that in bars. A lot of times if it's a real noisy bar, like it's like you can kind of get away with like you could sit there for like 5 minutes and then until people start realizing like where the music go. But
yeah,
farmers markets, I do that. Like what you were talking about, kind of like where I try not to stop in between songs. Like I'll just end a song, but I don't really make it clear that I'm ending it and just kind of start playing guitar until I think of what the next thing to play is.
Exactly.
And then rolling because like you said, like you could totally feel that like awkwardness that you to me it proves that your music is doing something, you know? It's like giving people like kind of a safety blanket for their conversations, because like then at least if they're talking to somebody and they have like an awkward silence in their conversation, like then there's still something that's like their fallback. But like when there's always a reason there's music on in bars. That's the reason.
Yeah, that's
so
a
when you stop,
beautiful way to think of it, because like I try to find a balance. I'm like, you got to be entertaining but not distracting, but engaging but not engaging. You're walking this weird.
if need be, yeah.
You, like if someone interacts, you got to interact with them. If not, they're gonna not dig it. And the bartender, this guy's just doing his own thing. But
Yeah, he's gonna be like,
but if you do it too
you're
much,
in there, you got to play by their rules.
yeah,
I mean, and that's why, like, if it is easier if you go in there and you just play like whatever people want to hear, but you're never gonna be able to please everybody anyways. So
for sure.
I kind of like have my set of, like I like to have I like to have tunes for every situation, like whatever the mood is or whatever the event is. Like I want to have stuff in my back pocket.
Yeah,
it may not be the stuff that like the crowd, the general public would request, but like I want to have stuff that I know, like, hey, like, how about this? Like, and then it will fit, and then usually, hopefully, like something that will work in that situation that they'll be able to understand and feel, even though they may not have heard it before.
Yeah, like I don't got Tom Petty, but have you heard this Wallflowers? Or, you know what I mean? Just like something down the line of like
something similar.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you do? I've always wondered, what do you do for like Christmas gigs and like St. Patrick's Day? You got tunes?
Well, I don't have a St. Patty's Day. I've done 2 St. Patrick's Day. I've done more, but I've only done 2 where like it was like supposed to be more on the higher side of things.
Yeah.
I did them with a trio.
Oh, that's cool.
And we played like that one Dropkick Murphys song.
Sick.
We played like I don't know. I don't even know what it's called anymore. But you know what?
Yeah, that one that everyone does.
And then we did. I think I did like a Pogues song.
Oh, that's cool. Pogues are.
But
awesome.
I don't really. But then what we mainly did was like we just played my songs, but we did them all just like double time, and so they sounded like Irish punk songs.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was singing in like a fake accent. But that's I don't. So it's funny because with the last name Flanagan, I get asked that all the time. Like gigs, and I really don't have. I would like to learn more about the music of my people or whatever, but I don't really. I just haven't gone down that. I haven't had time, man. I'm just catching up on all kinds of stuff. Like I was raised on some bad music, and I've been trying to spend the last 10 years trying to catch up on other stuff. But Christmas gigs is one of the only times that I will like actually bring a music stand and stuff, because it's like it's so it's not like I'm doing them year round.
Yeah,
it's like I don't have a problem like reading the words and like the chords and whatever. And
will you do like a whole hour, or will you just will you just spice stuff in like a regular set?
It's kind of more like that, you know. Well, I mean, I could do an hour, but like 3 hours
Yeah, no one wants 3 hours of Christmas
Because I
music.
had a couple. There's this place Bent Ladder that I play at
Yeah.
down in. It's a cool place. Um, they 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 have it so like you either have to play originals there or you play public domain stuff.
So Christmas is all up for it.
So Christmas, yeah, but there's actually like a lot of beautiful, more on the religious side
Yeah.
of those. I learned a bunch of those, but because a lot of the popular Christmas songs like you can't play. They're stuff from the 30s and 40s. Like it all has like copyright,
You
whatever.
can't be busting out Mariah Carey's.
I had to learn a bunch of public domain Christmas songs, which mostly comes down to like religious stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't do that stuff too often. A lot of times I turn that kind of stuff down. It's like Kent Beatle Fest this year. Kent does his Beatle Fest every year,
Yeah.
and I've done it 3 times. You've done it?
No, I haven't done it yet. I played a John Lennon thing with Guy Snowden, but that wasn't Beatlefest.
Yeah, I was like, it's to do 2 hours of Beatles tunes. Also, like all these songs are 2-3 minutes long for the most part. Start digging into them, and then a lot of the other stuff. It's also like, first of all, like you can't do stuff of the later, like trippier stuff. You can't really do that without major rehearsal, if you can even do it at all.
Yeah,
It's
for
all
sure.
And then the earlier stuff is more like on the more simple side of things, but it's hard to do that stuff as like a duo a lot of time. It's so oriented. It's like you hear all the parts, but so I turned that gig down this year because I was just like, man, it's so much work for me for one day to like do all that stuff. So I try to just find stuff that I could do whatever I want, which hurts me inside. But
there's a fair amount of that. I'm so happy to hear that because I hate Christmas gigs. You spend all like what I mean, if you mess up, like if you do something weird with like a Christmas standard, everyone notices it. Like, how do you not know the third verse of Jingle Bells? I'm like,
oh, dude, I know. What I mean? I'm like, how do you know it? And also, talking me like that, but like, would you know it if I didn't already give you the first line or whatever? Like,
definitely not. And like,
dude, and sometimes I read the lyrics to like something like Jingle Bells. Like, there's all these alternate lyrics. Like, I don't even know what the real lyrics are to that.
I know.
And I never know like what version most people know. So it's like I don't know. Like and sometimes like when there's weird alternate verses, like I'm sitting there going like, did your light just go out?
Yeah, my light went. No, my light went out. I think. Hold on. My switch is kind of wacky. I don't know what's going on with it. It just bounces off when the cats jump on the wall. I'm in the cat. I'm in the cat. The cat bunker, the cat cave.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, those Christmas, they drive me crazy because you got 4 weeks maybe, and out of those 4 weeks, you probably got 3 days, 6 possible like gigs where you're really gonna need the known hour Christmas music, and everyone gives you like, if you don't know Rudolph like to a T, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the one like, and you might, I don't know if you're coming from the place of like when you have to do the old folks gigs or whatever, but like I've had to do, when I play like stuff like that where you're trying to, so that is a gig where like you got to play, like try and play stuff that they might enjoy.
Yeah.
Or like I play once a month for these disabled people, like these special needs people that I've played.
Where's that at?
I do one in Medina through this ViaQuest is like the company or whatever that, and then I do one in Brooklyn Heights, once a month, each of them. But I've been doing the Medina for 3 years. I just got the Brooklyn Heights one this year. I started doing it, but though it's so funny, like you learn a lot about like especially older like simple songs like like whatever, You Are My Sunshine or like Hank Williams or Johnny Cash or certain things,
Ring of Fire,
totally
country roads,
me home. Yeah, like you learn like, whoa, like it actually teaches you a lot about like what a good song is, because if you can get people, and then I can learn like, if I kind of like use like what those people's reaction is like, wow, okay, I feel like that you can gauge like whether it's a song that's like a little too smart for like its britches a little bit, or if it's like, I don't know. I learned a lot about it from doing those gigs, but the Christmas ones, it is funny, like, because you do. It's like, man, like these songs are. If I wish I could write something that's that simple and that memorable.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's also funny though, because like they know those songs, and like they will let you know if you mess it up. They'll just kind of like be like, "What's going on?" and like go back about their business.
Yo.
Yeah.
Like
That's
when they stop singing, you're like, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong?
Oh, this is my fault. You know,
Yeah.
you learn a lot when you have to be that engaged with people, like playing Christmas songs. You do learn a lot.
Definitely. And I was doing a couple gigs, kind of like how you're doing in Medina and Brunswick with it was kind of like I don't want to say an adult daycare, but it was like
That's kind of mine is a little bit like that's how I would describe it.
Gotcha. I was doing one of those for probably 2 years, and like you learn a lot of like cartoon themes and like a lot of like music just to kind of like get people moving, and like it's really interesting. And I'm glad you bring up that point of seeing like at a nursing home what is a good song, and then like in that other environment you see what about a song gets someone to interact, or what
like,
is the
but like viscerally, like what makes somebody just move, like what kind of it's a great. I feel like every musician should do those kinds of gigs, because it's like you learn a lot about getting outside of yourself, and like, you know, because especially like if you're trying to create all the time, like you could get so like you could get kind of self-centered, like even with like the rhythm of what you're doing and everything. And it's like, I don't know, I've learned a lot about form and a lot about rhythm and a lot about structure and just how it affects people on like an innate level from different kinds of gigs. Maybe I'm overblowing it, but I feel like I've learned about that from doing those gigs.
I think in a way that you can only learn by doing, like as a band, there's a different dynamic if a band were to do that type of situation, but most bands can't do that type of situation, so it's something you're gonna have to learn by yourself.
Act like what one person would do, you know, and that time that's hard, you know. Plus, nobody can pay a band to do that, so
definitely not. But that's so cool, man. I'm glad you do those gigs, and I hope they come back soon. Cause like
likewise for you.
Thanks. Was it? I started teaching full time, teaching an adaptive music course for kids with autism, which is so my daycare gigs kind of like that kind of got pushed aside because of the full time teaching thing. But speaking of a full band, I see you've been tracking with the whole group, yeah?
Yeah, I wanted to make this year more of a band year, because I've been hitting like the solo thing pretty hard like the last few years, just in terms of like my work, and I feel like I'm always playing by myself because it's like how I can make money in most situations. And I do like it. I like playing solo for the most part. I like doing it, you know, in an intimate situation, like the Negative Space show, or like house shows, or like I love that. You know, I like having an audience that's listening, but like in a bar situation, like I actually, it's always more fun to have somebody there with you, you know. And
yeah, for sure, taking it on together.
Yeah, so at least like a duo, because then at least it's like if you're over there, like you can at least laugh with the person next to you. But I just, there's nothing more fun than playing with your buddies, you know. There's nothing more fun than that. Just and so I just like want to do more of that this year. We recorded 2 singles. Well, it's like we kind of had this idea to do like a single with a B-side. So we just recorded 2 songs that we're gonna put out. Like, we're not sure. I wanted to kind of put them out like pre-summer, was like May was like my thought, but I just don't know what's going on with everything, and we're just kind of now we're pretty much just like in the mixing. We're just like trying to mix them and then get them mastered, and then Jenna Fournier did artwork for us. Awesome.
So it's not going to be that paper towel, that napkin with the pencil.
Artwork, and that was like whatever. Spotify, who cares, really?
Yeah, no, I think it was badass.
And there was like a statement in that. Like, I've done a few things like that where I'm like I released these singles a couple months ago. One of them was just me like banging on a xylophone that I recorded on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I posted it.
I remember that. I was like,
some people reached out to me. People were like, "Are you all right?" Like, they thought. My point was kind of like I record this on my voice memos.
Yeah.
And then like took the screenshot of my voice memo thing and posted it as the album artwork. And Spotify was like, okay. Whereas like Bandcamp wouldn't let me upload it because they're like, it's not high enough quality. It has to be this. But Spotify was like, oh, that's fine. Yeah, this can go right up next to Thriller and whatever else is out. Be like, it was just like some idiot. Like I could literally post a recording of me shitting my pants on Spotify and they'd be fine with it.
You had like a Kanye moment, man. The
It was an old Kanye moment.
The old Kanye.
Like he would call me or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, this is cool. I'm into it. Whatever. Dude, you posted a video a while ago of you playing a guitar, but you put this like Home Depot like wet pencil and like made it into like a, what do they call it? A koto?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I got the idea from this woman, Khaki King, who's like this guitar player. I don't know if you ever heard of her. She kind of does like this, like, I don't know what it is. It's like finger style, but like she does a lot of like the slapping the guitar and tapping and all that.
Yeah.
Whatever. But she came up with this idea to put a bridge there, and she actually sells this bridge.
Oh, that's cool.
It's called, I can't remember what it's called, but she sells this bridge. But I was actually, prior to that, was looking at like actually buying a koto, like I wanted one, but they're so expensive.
Sound. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to mess around with different instruments. Like I got into I can't remember what they're called now. I have one up in my room. It's like a harp. It's a two-sided African harp. Using word.
Yes, I got a. So I'm really into like learning weird stringed instruments from around the world, and like I got this really cool book here that kind of dove down into that. I'm trying to find the right one, but I got what the fuck's the name of that instrument? Give me a second here. But anyway, so you got one of those?
Well, I got like a real primitive one. It's made out of like this gourd. It looks like super old. I don't know. It's like, but it's I don't know. It's just. I heard some people making music with those, and there's like people in Africa that are
shred those.
They're like 73rd generation people that played these instruments.
Kora, C-O-R-A.
Kora.
Yeah.
Another K name, Kora.
Yeah. I got this weird like how to do it on guitar, and it just doesn't sound right. Example.
You kind of can't. Yeah. It's so specific, like to that the way it's laid out. But I don't know. I like to mess around with stuff just like because sometimes you just go straight to like what your muscle memory knows on guitar.
For sure.
And it actually like you trapped. You know, you might like a lot of times. I always feel like I have better ideas than what I actually physically play. A lot of time, you know, like I have a better idea in my head, but then the way it comes out is not as cool as the pure idea that was in my head. Like it becomes like fettered by what I know about guitar.
Yeah.
So like I try to like I only want the guitar to be there to facilitate what my ideas are, and like sometimes it gets ahead of that, and so I try to mess with other instruments or stuff that I have no clue how to use. Like I bought this rosewood xylophone, like this big bass xylophone.
Yeah.
That I mess around with because it makes me feel like a kindergartner again.
Hold on, let me. I agree immensely with that statement. My phone's giving out. I'm gonna plug this in here. I got a makeshift power set up here, my friend. But I think that's a beautiful statement because when you get into like when you're in the moment and you're playing and you got like I don't know, hosting a jam night or whatever, and you're like, I gotta play something, you're almost like how you're saying reacting. And Bruce Lee's got this quote, or maybe not this quote, but this mental movement he went through, and like he wrote about it, and he drew this little coffin and said, here lies the form of a classical trained man. And that was him like stating from this point on he wasn't going to continue just to do the routine thing. He was going to study the little things that make the routine. So in music, like study like the idea of like why this song sounds good. Well, the rhythm, okay, let's get into that as opposed to learning the form of it and learning like the shape and the boxes and just being able to like like how you're saying, have guitar action and be more musical. So that's super. I think we need to have this conversation, man. You're juicing me up, my friend. That's awesome. I try to dabble in. So if when we're done with this, I'll unplug and show you my boxes of random string stuff I find. The try this, like, I got this Iru, this Chinese fiddle, and like this.
Oh, I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, they sound like a dying duck. Like, if you don't do it right, but they're fun to try to make sounds.
Anything sounds like a dying duck in my hands.
But so kind of going back to the band statement. You posted a thing before you guys started tracking, or maybe during the midst of it, saying that this is the group you've always wanted to work with, and you were very, like, I can't remember verbatim, but excited to be working with this crew. Does that still hold up, and is it still the same group?
Yeah, the way that what I kind of meant by that was like, it is the group, like it's just my brother Russ, and then Dave Shaw, who I've been friends with I know Dave since 2009, I think. So it's been about a decade. And then Joe Boda, who I don't know how long he's been playing in my band, at least 5 years, I'd say. Yeah. But I've been buddies with Joe since like 2013 or 14. But anyways, like, it's kind of like it's just our group of friends. And like my first incarnation of me having my own solo band, like, it ended. It was a pretty close knit group, and then it ended because we had our drummer. He moved and went to college. He moved to North Carolina, and like, it was this whole thing. And then we kind of went in through some other member changes, but this is just kind of the group of people that, like, it's my one, like, if without music, like, it's my friend group, like, this the people I hang out with. And it kind of has to be that. It's been for the last since I've had Dave and Joe into the fold. Russ has been with me. Obviously, he's my brother and everything. But since I've had Dave and Joe in the fold, it's kind of been like the four of us, and then whoever the drummer is kind of the outsider that we're trying to, like, bring into our world. But like, it's hard to do that, And Russ moved to drums from keys, and like, it's like everything just feels a lot more free. And a lot more, like, comfortable, because it's just the four of us, and it's not like there's nobody that we're trying to, like, bring up to speed.
Gotcha.
Either where we're coming from musically, or just, like, bring up to speed in terms of our group's, like, sense of humor and stuff, and all our side jokes and stuff that, like, that stuff's hard. Like, you can't just,
for sure,
somebody, and it takes time, and so that's kind of what I mean. And also, like, having only four people is a lot more open. We were doing 2 guitars and keys and bass and drums, and it was pretty hard. And plus, like, it's not like we're, like, doing the band thing for a living, so, like, we really, like, could be a lot more diligent with, like, our rehearsal and stuff like that. But since we only play in Cleveland, like, we don't gig so much, because I try to make it so, like, I can have special events with the band. That's part of why I use my solo thing. I just, like, hoard that out so that I can make the band have special events. But
well,
it's
and I agree with that. Like, even so, instead of bringing the band to the lame gig, that band gig always gets to be fun, and it's just a fun gig with the homies. And like,
right. And I'm not relying, even, like, I hate to say it too, but like, then that way, like, that way I'm just more excited to play, and I'm not worried about, like, even getting paid as much. Like. Yeah. For the stuff that we're doing, it depends on the kind of show,
Definitely.
But if you go, I mean, you go open for somebody at whatever venue, like, you're not expecting to do that to make the same kind of money that I would expect if I'm playing 3 hours at your bar, like, you fucking pay me. But,
yeah, you did 3 hours, arguably nonstop of, like, straight work, as opposed to, like, a 45 minute, 30-minute set where
where, like, I'm not even necessarily, like, whether I'm there or not, it might be the same amount of people that are there because I'm opening somebody else's crowd. But, like, anyways, but it is, like, it is, like, a matter of, like, trying to get, there's a cat down here. This cat's not supposed to be down here.
Uh-oh. Where are you at?
I'm in my basement.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I don't know, but anyways. It's me.
I got two
but
cats running around me. They're waiting. They're waiting for me to play fetch with them.
I don't even know this cat's name. Sorry, I don't know your name. But
But that's awesome, man. Like,
well, whatever. I lost my train of thought because this cat distracted me. But yeah, I like playing rock and roll with my friends. Yeah.
yeah, man, sick. Oh man, I definitely agree. And I think it's important to kind of keep the band thing fun, because if a band's not having fun, as an audience member, you know it. You're like, oh, they're really actually mad at each other.
Right,
You know
which
what
my band has been in that situation. So,
it's not good.
yeah. We have the most. I think every band can be this way, but in terms of bands that I've been in, like this. Here's this cat.
What up, cat?
It's the moodiest group.
Yeah.
One person is able to drag the entire group down into their dark pit with them. It can be, which is like, I have a sense of humor about it, but
Yeah.
like sometimes, like if a rehearsal, like if me or my brother or whoever just decides, I think we're done, then like we're just done.
Yeah.
Working through it, like, so, but we've learned to kind of like be sensitive to that, to where like it is better for us to just stop instead of like
Plow
making
through.
Yeah, because it really just usually makes us more mad. But it's dysfunctional, but it's also like
100% the situation.
It's also
Oh man, I relate to that so much. Like, as soon as one guy is like, "This gig sucks," you're like, "Oh fuck,"
Right.
you know. And then the other one goes down with him, and then or you bring it down, and you're like, "Fuck."
Well, that's the worst. I'm
Yeah.
that person sometimes where it's like, because I don't feel like a leader, you know. I feel like I want everybody to be like, but it's like the reality is that somebody's kind of got to lead it.
For sure.
And sometimes I'm not in that mood, and like I could be a pretty terrible leader, and I will just bring the whole thing down because they're all like looking to me, and I'm like, oh, fucking no.
I know what you mean, especially if it's like, do you as a band, you really feed off the crowd. Like, I feel like as a solo act, like how we were talking earlier, you get used to being like this noise, this background sound, and you accept that, even though this means the world, right? Getting some
Right.
type of applause, you're like, I'm doing something here. It's a lot easier to shelve that, and that cannot be there if you're playing by yourself. But as a band, if the crowd isn't reciprocating the energy you're putting out, it starts to get discouraging eventually, and it's tough to plow through it and keep that like, we're fun, you have fun with us, and you know what I mean, like,
Right.
if it gets to you and then they won, you know what I mean, they won, they brought you down, you're going.
I've heard. I think I heard Tom Waits talk about that, like how it's like you can't give the audience a chance to like
Ooh, that's a goodie.
to bring you down like that. Like you have to just be up there and you have to just own what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because
would
the
you
audience reacts to your mood, and you're like, if they're open to it, then you can affect like the whole mood of the room. You know, sometimes people are just talking and in their own world, and they're not open to it, so that's
Yeah.
fine. But like in situations where they are open to it, it is kind of totally on the artist to control the mood of the entire environment.
For sure. That's well, definitely, and like that's a good Tom Waits quote. He out of everyone would know how to handle a room like that. That guy for sure was it. And going back to while we're doing this interview, it's weird with when that whole thing is now emojis. That's a whole new environment.
I don't know. I've never done like an online, like a live stream thing before, so I'm kind of like I'm interested to like just kind of see what it's like having an actual audience there, but like they're through their screens and everything, and like seeing how different it feels to have people react that way instead of like physically right in front of you, which is like I'm so used to that.
Yeah. This whole conversation has basically been the mindset of navigating all those situations, and now you're about to embark in like a completely different one.
We have no choice.
Yeah, well, that's why I admire what Gall's doing, like in the sense of all this like disaster and negativity, there's this beacon of hope, this bright like PMA, like let's be proactive and be innovative and solve problems as opposed to dwell in them. And like that's just a place we all need to be in now. And like
it's definitely it's definitely inspiring me because I'm more like my first reaction is to just like go in my room and just like hole up in there and just like kind of be like, well, I'm done.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's what I was doing until God hit me up. I was like, I got a routine. I'm going to learn all this stuff. I'm going to watch all this stuff. You know?
I'm always more reactive than proactive in a lot of ways. Like I just want to create and so like in terms of like even going out and getting gigs, like I don't hound people. Like I don't send a ton of emails. Like either people want me or they don't. And I just kind of, I rely on community so much for people to like, everything I get is through recommendation all the time. It's like, so it is definitely like, I could be a lot more in control of what I'm doing, but I kind of just like, I'm totally lazy outside of like the craft side of things, like I just am not, it's like, so I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure it out. But never worry about it. I always just figure out like I'll figure it out.
It definitely is something's gonna happen. But I think if we keep as a community like we're doing, being positive, like this conversation, this has been the highlight of my day. Like I've been
Me too, man. I've been watching Netflix and playing guitar or whatever all day. But
well, thanks. It's weird. Like I feel more connected with certain people by by doing God's thing and trying to help out by doing things like this. And
totally.
Like it's been a really uplifting. There's a couple things I wanted to ask you that I don't know if we talked about last time when we did a podcast, but so the drummer of Sea Level, Pat, he played a gig with you, and he said that you guys just went up there and you went off like some like a book of Dylan lyrics.
Ooh.
Is that true? Is that like, is Pat fibbing me, or is that
I have a Dylan book that I carry around that I in emergency situations.
Yeah.
I don't remember that I used it.
Maybe you were just reading it, and he said you were reading it, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, he just went up there and Dylan the fuck out of this show.
We at least played probably like one. It was like at the Happy Dog.
Yep.
And Pat, there's a whole story behind it. We don't even need to tell the whole story, but
the
long and short of it is the day that day was a day that our then drummer like had gotten arrested, and Pat was still playing with M. Moody with Matt.
Yeah.
And so they were on the gig, and I just was like, I was like, Pat, what do you play with in our set? And then we just totally like winged it. So then I like, in that situation, there's also a skill set of like, if somebody doesn't know what's going on, like you don't play your songs that have like very specific stops and stuff in it. Like
you don't do that to them.
You play it so that you can't mess it up. You play simple stuff. You play like, or you dumb down what you're doing, or you do like, I pull out some Dylan tunes or whatever, like where it's like they're fail safe, like you can't. They're simple. You can't really. So I have a book of Dylan lyrics that I do like. I use a lot of my market gigs and stuff as time to like study some of that stuff. Where like I'll just put it on the ground and like, because I know the tunes, but I don't memorize the words a lot of times. But I do like I know a bunch of Dylan tunes like off my memory at this point. But I do think it's good to just like as a mental exercise to try and learn some of those tunes. So that's probably true that I had that book on the ground. I wouldn't remember what I would have used it for, but
that's awesome. I thought it was the coolest thing. I'm like, oh, legend. Like
that is fun. Pat killed it at that gig too. I remember.
Pat kills it at every gig. He's an amazing musician.
He's a great energy, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's like always like there and excited and happy, and like I'm so happy he plays with us and puts up with us. Was it so when you're doing that, are you just kind of looking at the lyrics and then making your own rendition in a sense sometimes?
Well, I mostly know like the chord stuff. I mean, I know that, and then like, and I mostly know the words too. If it's a song that I'm doing that for, like I don't pick some random song and just like make up a tune to the lyric, like.
Because that would be impressive. Like honestly, with like a Dylan cadence.
Just like you do it. it's usually a song that I've been trying to learn anyways, but I haven't quite internalized it. So, I just need to see the first line or whatever to like get my juices flowing.
Gotcha. No, I'm really bad with like memorizing lyrics of like cover songs and stuff. Even some of my own, like on that virtual show, I think I did I double dipped a verse. I'm like, oh shit. But so
it happens. But I try to be pretty on that stuff. I try to be pretty on that stuff.
Was it? It's definitely a practice for sure to like ingrain. Like another thing I don't think we talked about at all was you opened for Train. Like
I do. And I have somewhere I have my badge, my VIP. I also have the laminated I have like the laminated piece of paper that was on my dressing room door.
Ooh, that's cool. That's cool.
Train, and then it said Ray Flanagan in like Eric bold font underneath.
That's cool.
The Train had done this like they had some Blossom show where like the sound went out on the lawn or something. It was either that or I think that's what it was, or it was a rain out. I don't remember. Yeah. But they came back like the next week, like early in the week, because they had a day off, and they played again for everybody and anybody that had tickets to the other show. They played at Blossom, but then they did this makeup show at Nautica, and anybody that already had tickets could come back.
Oh, that's cool.
But it wasn't like I don't think it was like there was no sale of tickets to public for it or whatever, but it was like anybody that could like, which there's still a shit ton of people, but yeah, that was pretty cool. They were all like super nice. The one guy, the one guitar player, he's like the auxiliary guy. I think he like plays keys and plays guitar in Train. He's from North Olmsted, actually.
Oh, no shit. Oh, yeah. Wait, I think I've met his parents. They gave me a pic from him. What the
Gary?
They own the donut place. Not Becker.
Yep.
Yeah, I was doing a mic night and I met his like grandpa or something. And he's like, "This is my grandson," and gave me that guy's pic.
Yeah, his nephew plays around town. Nathan Henry.
Okay.
This is usually if you hear that guy. He kind of like does like I think he plays a lot of bars in Willoughby and stuff. But
gotcha.
Anyways, yeah, they were all super nice, and like I still have like. Yeah, I was supposed to like contact like them about I don't know I didn't even bother about it, but yeah. Like they were all super nice. That dude Pat Monahan, that singer, like he like they all listened to my set and they were all
That's
like super
awesome.
nice. And also the thing that I learned about that band from doing that was that like everybody from like whatever people in the office to like the people that were like janitorial staff, like they all like just talk about how well trained and like their crew treats everybody every time they come through town. So I don't know, that was my biggest takeaway from that was like everybody like everybody that was working that day like loved them just from like the way that they handle their stuff and treat everybody. So it was like kind of refreshing to see that because you never know, sometimes you meet people that are famous, you never know like if they're going to be moody or if they're going to want to talk to anybody or blah 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 blah, which everybody goes through that. I don't blame anybody for that, but sometimes people have reputations. It's just always cool to like see somebody that's at that level that's like not assholes.
Yeah, so. No, that puts a beautiful like kind of aftertaste in like your mouth about, well, that's a weird way to put it, but aftertaste like it, that this is how like this is how it should be done. And like as a teacher, a big thing for me is leading by example. And then as soon as you see someone lead by example, that's going to resonate with you and so on, and how you treat everybody. And then hopefully that pans out. That's cool, man. Was the crowd like, did you get opener syndrome from the crowd, or were they cool?
They were actually super cool because I just came out, I did it by myself, which was like terrifying in a way.
Oh, yeah, man.
Because so like I've opened some stuff like, I love playing in theaters. I've opened like in some theater situations, like the Goodyear Theater in Akron, or like the Kent Stage.
Yeah. That's a cool room, Kent Stage.
I've played Kent Stage like quite a few times and open for some people, and the theater setting's awesome because it sets everybody up to be quiet and listen. But this was at Nautica, so it was a little bit more like, it's outside.
Yeah.
And you're just by yourself, and it's like everything sounds big and boomy, and you're like
up there with your acoustic guitar. You're like, it's boomy by itself.
It was cool. I was able to have some like interaction with them, but it was still just like, obviously I'm not very experienced in that setting, so it was a little nerve wracking, but I feel like it was fine.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Was it? Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to ask you about that last time. But hey, man. Well, we've been going for a minute. I appreciate this, Ray. Yeah, this is awesome.
Cool, man.
Was it? So let's tag it. We're going to go March 20th on the internet.
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Austin Walkin Kane, Ray Flanagan, and Maddie Finn. Cool beans, bud. Cool. Well, I'll get this wrapped up, and I'll put it out later on tonight or tomorrow, and hopefully we get some the login. I don't know how you say people when it's. We get some people on this site, man.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Ray. Take care, bud.